Hey everybody, this is Stan Wangland and welcome to Just Thinking 2022. Today's the 15th of March and happy St. Patrick's Day in advance to those people who celebrate that. Hey, shut your gob. That's dedicated to my good buddy John Lishak, a fellow psychologist. We'd be doing Barry Fitzgerald impersonations. Many of you don't even know who he is, a famous Irish character actor from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. And we would do that till we sickened people, going, "Hey, shut your gob," or we would do leprechaun impersonations. "Where's me gold?" So, anyway, I'm sorry, that joke is just for me and my buddy John. It's not like I have millions of people watching the, the YouTube thing. So if you don't like that, I'm not going to apologize. That's just to my good buddy. But today, I haven't done a show for a couple of days because of all the stuff going on in the Ukraine. It's hard to get into humorous things for me, for my particular psyche, when such a very serious situation is going on there. But I have to move on, not where I have to forget about the Ukraine, but to do, a lot of the things that I like to do on Just Thinking. And one of them has to do with a guy that I see trending, now and then. And I've been a fan of his on and off over the years. Sometimes I really like him and just laugh my ass off. And other times I have to tell you, he's even worse than me in terms of being a judgmental curmudgeon. And that's Bill Maher. Bill Maher, however you like to pronounce it. But I'll say Bill Maher on this one. He has become, in my opinion, just dreadful for many years, and I can see that with other people. It's not just me. Bill Maher started off many years ago with Politically Incorrect on network TV, and then he got canceled. Came over to HBO, and found a successful niche over there to be the kind of a guy who would come off with the other side of things, not the mainstream kind of thing. There could be cursing on the show and all kinds of offbeat characters. People who are very popular in the news like to come on the show. He does a good job with that on many occasions. I think he did a better job early on. Now it's not worried about which slant he takes, because I wanted to get into that in a second. His bullshit, wokeness that he does, his version of it. But he would have people, he would listen to people. The point of the show was to be provocative. That's nothing new. There were shows on WNEW-TV years ago, the Joe Pine Show, just a whole bunch of things. Tom Snyder would have a provocative show on TV. Alan Burke was the name I was struggling for. Maury Povich, other people, Jerry Springer, Alan Burke, for example. Now, you've got to be my age to remember him. He was so popular, and he'd say, "Get out of my house," and he'd throw you out of the thing. He would be very political correct. Morton Downey, the guy with the terrible guy, became very popular for his outrageous stuff. So, Bill Maher's in that kind of a crew, but a much more civilized, intellectual version of that kind of stuff. But that's the premise that was started on HBO. Shock comedy. He tried to be as clever, or tries to be as clever as Carlin, which he just can't. Bill Maher is a decent comedian. He knows how to be funny. He's sarcastic and quite clever at times. The thing about Bill Maher is that, in my opinion, there's two problems or more than a couple of problems with his kind of humor. And he should have humor. He should have, he's definitely earned the right to be on TV and have his audience and those people who love him. He's not relevant to a younger audience, to any kind of millennial audience or anything else like that. I don't even know if they know who he is. He's a guy who's for the boomers and that kind of stuff, my age and slightly below or slightly over. And that's his bread and butter. People who can, his home base now, his big concert thing is, when he's going out to Las Vegas, that kind of stuff. So, the population. It's almost become like he's a Johnny Carson kind of person, where if you get on Bill's show, and you're out there. It's like with Carson at the end. Not that Carson was irrelevant, but Carson was getting old. It was an icon. It was something that people wanted to remember. It's like going to buy a toy that you had when you were a kid. It was something that you remembered, and Bill Maher's a lot like that with many things. Every time you think he's like really sharp and on the dot, you can see he's getting up there. He's getting up there, and he just is. That's the pot calling the kettle black, right? But when I get up there and when I'm doing that, I'm kind of aware of it most of the time, and that's okay. And I get that. This is something. If I'm getting up there, that's part of my culture from the Wayback Machine. And I understand that. He's kind of an arrogant son of a gun. Not kind of, he really is. And he's very, very harsh. And I think he has a real cruel streak. And I can see that being portrayed now when he trends. America loves that stuff. We have a very loving environment on one hand, but it's very bipolar. You love somebody one day, oh, it's Uncle Joe Biden, and the next day you fucking hate this guy. Can you imagine being in his shoes? Or you love Donald Trump. I always found Donald Trump's a funny guy years ago from New York. We all knew he was a bullshit artist, but he's a funny guy. So, he'd be on the shows. He'd make fun of himself. There's things that were nice about him. His kids actually and his family actually had a nice reputation as always being nice to other people, very polite and very kind. And he was a very attentive, nice guy in many ways. But boy, when he hit the bricks as a president, what a lousy bastard he was. And the worst of him came out with that platform. And I think as Bill Maher's gotten more years under his belt, and there's people, which was my original point, in our country who have a need to be victims or oppressors or hateful or punishing to everybody for everything. He's the perfect guy to do that. And we love guys like that. You're like, yeah, that's right, tell him, you got that secret, what's really happening, that lousy bastards. And he gets that going with people. And he's just brutal. He's brutal. And that's his bread and butter. Just like Alan Burke, the talk show host you don't remember from Channel 5 in New York City, throw somebody the hell out of his studio. Say, you communist bastard, get out of here. Or a crowd of people screaming and laughing at people's misery on a Jerry Springer show, or Maury Povich, or that crazy guy D. West from years ago who come out in a prison thing and get all those kids and scare the shit out of them. Oh, good. There's a certain level of insanity that we have, in our in our culture. We're a little wacko man with some of that stuff. That's a clinical term that I've used, we use in psychology. It's in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. I'll give you the number for that one. A little wacko. But Bill is like that. Now, all that said, what does Bill do? Bill is an ultra-liberal on one hand, and then he likes to come out and shock people with his common sense and look like he's a well-balanced guy and come out with these ultra-conservative kind of ideas, or things that nobody won't say. He does a lot of fat shaming. I'll use the term, not shaming obese people. He fat shames you. Oh, you're fat. That's why you died of COVID. The new thing he has now is, take off those masks. God damn it, the COVID's over. Oh, it's over because you said it's over? Actually, the American public, people in my age, slightly below, slightly ahead, they watch this dopey guy and other entertainers. It could be Dr. Oz. It could be some other whack job that's on television that they like on Fox or MSNBC or some other slanted kind of a thing. And they use these people as experts versus, getting the information from reputable sources themselves, which I guess you have to do if you're a sensible person. I mean, I know that's a big expectation in 2022, that you try to make a sensible decision on your own, based on people who are knowledgeable in the field. Like if you went and got your taxes done, or were going to buy a house, or how to make a decision about a heart surgeon or something. I mean, but that's for another show. But this guy, comes off in the, the New York Times a few weeks ago, as Bill Maher says, blah, blah, blah. Who the hell is he? He's a comedian. He's a comedian. And folks, A comedian's job is to get your attention, so you will pay attention to them, to like them, and then buy tickets or watch their show, which is another version of paying attention. That's what the goal is. And the goal of doing those two things is to make him lots of money. And in the process, it's also to make HBO or ABC or some streaming service somewhere, Hulu, Tubi, whatever it is, Crackle, you know, whatever, Netflix, to make money. Come on, man. So with Bill Maher, what does he do? Oh man, he's going to fat shame people, they're obese. That's why they're dying of COVID, and that is a factor. It's not the factor. It's a correlated factor. One of many factors. Not wearing a mask is a factor. Not being properly vaccinated is a factor. Not getting enough sleep or good nutrition is a factor. And we can start listing other ones, other genetic factors, immune system diseases. But he's not a scientist. He doesn't know all that shit. If he read it and he's got it on a note card and he's been talking it over all week long with his writers or talking with people, or he needs it to do a show, he has a peripheral or a superficial knowledge base, a good line of bullshit to go out there on television or do a concert, and the average person is coming in, they don't know any more than he does. Less so, they're looking at him as an expert. Does he have any super college degree? Does he have any medical degree? Does he have a degree in philosophy or business or anything else? No, he's a comedian. And he's done a very good job of promoting himself and doing what he has to do, and he can be quite funny when he wants to be, But again, is he somebody that, should he be ignored? No, he doesn't need to be ignored. But take what he says, like if you take what I'm saying or somebody else, with a grain of salt. Now, if I'm telling you something seriously about comedy, it's just my opinion. If I'm telling you something seriously as a psychology professor and as a practicing psychologist for over or close to a half a century, you might want to take what I'm saying, my observations or my knowledge or my reference, not as the word of God or absolute fact, but something that has perhaps some degree of credibility that you'd like to further explore and verify for yourself, like any good critical thinker. So this guy, anti-religion, anti-this, oh yeah, with religion, the reason I brought that up is that's everybody's right. You want to be for or against religion? Not with this guy. You're a moron. You're an idiot if you believe in religion, if you believe in a deity. And he gets a host of people, and then they mock people's beliefs and everything. Now, I could sit there and say, hey, did you read the latest, kinds of studies coming out of other things called neurotheology about blah, 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 or if we're talking about experience and human beings experiencing their world, probably about in the high 90% of our environment, we're not even aware of. So how can we discount everything? We don't have to say this exists, but on the other hand, you just can't say it doesn't. You can say it doesn't exist for me because I don't have any evidence of it, but you can't say with certainty something doesn't exist, particularly every day when scientists and people are finding things all over the place. How do we know that there isn't a multiverse or some other kind of entity or something else that we may call a religious name as God or something that is, that is another entity? And for lack of a better term, that's what we call it. I'm just using that as an example. An intelligent person could say that, or people having certain experiences. Are they hallucinations? People who are highly intelligent that go to Harvard or Yale Divinity School or something like that? Are they just nuts? Millions of people? Are they just those kind of things? Well, he does this. He does the same thing with obesity. Do people have obesity that's not just caused by overeating? That have other kinds of things? Should they be shamed or lumped in? Is it their fault for different things? And on the thing of religion, it's very funny. He lambastes pretty much the popular ones to kick the shit out of. But then he particularly goes to town on Islamic kinds of things, and saying, yeah, some religions are better than others, and they're about, whoa, maybe that's true. I don't know, or maybe it's the people interpreting them politically of those things where they take something that might be a fine theology and turn it terribly. I don't really know on that kind of stuff. But the important thing, he's a mean, lousy guy with that. He debunks traditional systems like marriage. Why would you do that? I hate kids. All that kind of stuff. Who cares? I don't care. And my point is not to criticize him for that. My point is that we sit there and we idolize a person in many cases, or rake him over the coals like he's somebody of any extraordinary intellect or has some extraordinary depth and breadth of learning or experience, and he doesn't. He doesn't. And the sooner we wise up as people and start see Bill for what he is. He's an entertainer, and he's a pretty darn good one. But with a lot of other stuff, he's just a bullshit artist like anybody else. He has his own opinion. And you'll notice that if he has people that he doesn't agree with very much, like you don't see him on the show anymore. You don't see Michael Moore on his show anymore. You don't see Cornel West on his show anymore. You don't see other people. It's like, why? These are fascinating people that are on all your earlier shows. But somehow or another, they're not in agreement with you. Now, the real thing that I wanted to share about Bill Maher, and I was actually going to call this show Bill Maher versus James Woods, the actor. I think James Woods, like I think Bill Maher, is a very funny guy, for the most part. I think James Woods always has been one of my favorite actors. I think he's a brilliant actor. I don't know, I don't read his crazy quotes, his Twitter. I know he's done a lot of unpopular things. I don't know what. But he seems to talk the talk and walk the walk. I mean, if he tells you to go pound salt up your behind, yeah, he's willing to lose a part over it. And he happens to be a great actor. Where I don't think Bill Maher is a great comedian. He's a good journeyman comedian. He's a good guy. I think that James Wood is serious in a different way. He's not looking for an audience of Trumpians or conservatives to come to his movies. I don't think so. I think he just has something to say, and that's his personality, where he wants to say it, and he has a platform as an actor. And I think he's a little bit more sincere than Bill because he gives up a lot. I think with Bill Maher, the thing that I wanted to leave on this show and put on the trending site, if anybody will listen to this, probably should have said this early on. He does what he does, like telling people, take your masks off. How irresponsible. He doesn't. You're not an asshole if you're wearing a mask. I have a heart condition. I was out bowling the other day at a packed bowling alley, or I'll be in sometimes I'll wear my mask in there if there's a lot of strange people in there and they're packed up on me right now. And I did yesterday. It wasn't that crowded. I just have to act responsibly. What do I want to be on a friggin' ventilator because I wouldn't put a little stupid mask on? I worked in healthcare settings for my entire life. If I had to go on a unit and units were full of people, full of people with airborne diseases, we took universal precautions. You'd have to glove up, mask up, do whatever you'd have to do your job. What would we tell the nurses? Get that mask off you. Why? Because I want it to be over? Why does Bill Maher want things to be over? You want to know why? Because concerts stopped for 2 years. And that's what this lousy bastard is all about. And I'm going to actually say that. And I think he's dangerous when it comes to that. And I think he's a false alarm, and somebody should call him out for that. And that's the point of my show. Not that he's telling people not to wear masks. Why he's telling them that. Yeah, it's okay for him because he can fat shame people because he makes a lot of money. And he can have his own nutritionist. He has a person to come in and do his meals or do whatever he wants to do. When he got COVID, he certainly had a plan, like all these bastards had plans. And I'm going to use that term, all these bastards that are preaching to you and I. I'll tell you what my plan is. If I got sick, what I found out in the beginning why I had to be careful is I've worked in my entire life in healthcare. I have great insurance. I have a reasonably nice retirement and everything else like that. But due to the fact that I'm over 65, I happen to be 71 years old, when things were at their worst and there wasn't a vaccine and everything else, I was being told, after being a highly educated, highly productive, highly helpful public servant and good person for literally all of my adult life, and serving not hundreds, but thousands upon thousands of people to make their life better, along with my colleagues and things like that, that the triage system would take me and I would get help last. Why? Because of ageism. If you didn't want to wear a mask or take a vaccine, if you got sick, you got in before me if you were younger, just because you were younger. Okay? Not very fair, is it? Well, that's the way that it was. So that's why I had to wear a mask then. That's why I have to wear a mask now. Because I also understand, having worked in the healthcare field, that you've got millions of people who are loose in the head. Yeah. Not every teacher, not every psychologist, not every doctor, not every nurse is right, brother. They're not right in the head. Not everybody is just a wonderful hero, savior, whatever. A lot of people are careless. A lot of people are stupid. You know, it's the bell-shaped curve, man. What Bill Maher wants is, he wants his money. He wants COVID to be over. And with the stuff with Trump, where he was on the bandwagon to impeach this guy and making fun of his kids and nonstop, Trump has and had a huge, huge base. And they really hate people and boycott people and will not buy from people or support people who are against Trump. And hey, before all this crap with Trump and everything else like that, Bill Maher had the audience from the left, he could have the audience from the right, he could find something for them. Not after the impeachments, not after the stuff with Biden having to run against him, and not after get rid of this guy. And then the 2 years on top of it, this guy was losing a lot of money. And what has he tried to do? He's tried to, get in there and ingratiate himself with the conservatives in his own little sneaky way. And what he does is he tries to pick issues that are kind of in the middle, but he can kind of slant towards that group. And they'll say, yeah, he's making fun of Biden too. He gets it. He gets it. See, he's come around. And he's doing it for this, boys and girls. He's doing it for this. And it's very apparent to see. He throws just enough stuff in for the, middle, the centrist liberals, people who are basically centrist but a little bit on the liberal side, where he takes those extremes and he makes fun of the extremes, the outlier groups. He's looking for that middle audience that has some bucks that might go out to the Mirage, where he works out in Las Vegas, Big anti-establishment guy, yeah. Come on. It's all for the money, man. So Bill Maher, come on. He's like a lot of other people. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. He's a funny guy. He does everything, but he's a very manipulative guy in his own right. And he'll tell you, this guy, there's no wife on his thing. There's no study partner. There's no kids. He'll tell you, I've got all my money. I'm not interested in traveling that much. I go to Hawaii once a year. Whatever it is. The reason I have money is because I never got married. There's no divorces. I didn't have this. And God bless you. Hey, man, you want to be like Ebenezer Scrooge when you die? You never had a broken heart because you never had a divorce, or you never had to worry about kids, and you could do your own thing, and you could smoke dope all day long and just boast about it. Whatever. Who cares? I'm not putting you down for it. That's the life you wanted. But how about not bullshitting to everybody else and, pretending that you're so sick of everybody being woke? I'm with you on that one, man. I don't want to hear that term anymore. And I'm going to do a lot of other shows on this silly bullshit that's out here. That's funny, some of it. And some of it's just plain pathetic. And I wanted to start with the Bill Maher thing because I saw that was trending again. That's several times I wanted to address this with this guy. And when I see him get there, just get those masks off. It's like Ron DeSantis. What the hell are you talking about, man? The hell are you trying to shame people about wearing a mask if they need to wear a mask? Or shame somebody if they don't want to wear a mask now that they say you don't have to wear it? You don't want to wear it? Fine. I know for me, I'm done with those days, man. You want to go down the path and you want to give yourself friggin' leprosy or anthrax or pneumonia or whatever it is. Hey, I used to have to do that as a therapist, sadly. I said, I love you, brother, but, I'm telling you, it's not my job to sit here and give you instructions of what not to do, but, you won't consider these things. In my opinion, you're going to keep getting the same results. So, it's everybody's individual responsibility. So if you want to put your eggs in one basket, in the Bill Maher basket, and think that he's got some special insights on Putin and all these other things, think again, and think again even with his guests. His guests are there to sell books. His guests are there to get noticed. His guests never tell him to go pound salt up his behind. Why? Because they want to come back on the show. The same reason everybody came over to, it was a big deal, like you were an idiot, to sit at Carson's, that's Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show, to sit at the chair there. And, I can remember. Yeah, because it made her break, you would make her break her career with crap like that. And that's pathetic. So that's my show on Bill Maher. He's in it for the money, honey. And he'll pretty much tell you anything you want to hear when he thinks it's in his best interest, and he'll do it in a way that makes him look like he's woke, and even though he's disparaging of that, and that he's super cool, but he's just an old guy. And when you look at him, he's just an old pothead, man. He's doing his thing. That's my spin. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. Catch you next time. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, subscribe, and away we go. But see you next time.